Can money really buy silence inside a courtroom like mine, or does it only make the lies echo louder? I still remember the faint crinkle of an envelope in my hand, and the way a 69-year-old man's fingers trembled as if the truth itself was too heavy to hold. The air smelled of expensive cologne mixed with worn winter coats, two different worlds colliding before a single word was spoken. And in that moment, one ashamed glance told me everything. If stories like this matter to you, stay with me, because this is the story of a millionaire who walked into my courtroom believing he could erase a working man's dignity, and how I made sure the truth was paid in full. Version 2, cinematic storytelling. Do you think wealth can silence justice, or does it only make deception louder? I can still hear the soft rustle of paper in my palm, still see an old man shaking hands trying to protect the last proof of his worth. Around us, the room carried 2 cents, luxury and survival. One quick, broken look from him. And I knew this case was never just about money. Stay with me, because what happened next proves something powerful. And no fortune is big enough to purchase dignity once the truth decides to speak. Version 3, YouTube hook style. Can a millionaire really buy his way out of justice? That's what he thought, until a trembling envelope, a 69-year-old veteran, and one silent courtroom proved him wrong. What happened next didn't just cost him money, it forced the truth into the open where no power could hide it. And by the end of that day, justice wasn't quiet anymore. I let the silence stretch until it pulled the whole room tight. Then I said quietly, Mr. Kessler, I didn't ask what the internet does. I asked what you did. He leaned forward, calm but sharp. I told her if she tries to extort me, I'll defend myself. That's it. You could feel the courtroom leaning in. Everyone sensed something heavier beneath the words. I asked Harold to hand up the printed messages. I read them slowly. One message from Damien said, you want money? Earn it. And tell your dad to stop acting like a hero. When those words echoed through the room, Harold's eyes turned glassy, but he didn't break. Another message read, I know people don't make this messy. I've heard that line 100 times. It always means the same thing. Someone believes connections are a weapon. I looked at Damien and said, the easiest thing in the world is to look down on someone who needs you. The hardest thing is to treat them like they matter anyway. He smiled, bored, with respect. Your Honor, you're getting emotional. That was his mistake. He thought emotion meant weakness. I took a slow breath. I'm not emotional, I said. I'm attentive. There's a difference. Then I asked for proof, bank transfers, checks, withdrawals, anything showing he had paid Lisa. He had nothing solid, just excuses. Harold handed up Lisa's handwritten work log, plain, careful, consistent, the kind of record people keep when their survival depends on being believed. The officer confirmed he had seen the same notebook the night of the report. That mattered, because real evidence exists before a courtroom ever sees it. Damien shifted tactics. She wasn't a nanny. Just a friend helping sometimes. No contract. I met his eyes. Do you usually pay your friends $810 a week? His smirk faded. He tried to paint Harold as the threat, a bouncer, a fighter, someone intimidating. I stopped that quickly. A man working nights to pay for his daughter's medicinius, not the danger in this room. The courtroom settled behind me. People recognize truth when they hear it. Then Harold spoke softly. Judge, I just want justice. Not dramatic, just tired. He told me Lisa had started skipping meals, spacing out her medication, rationing her own breathing to survive. When a father tells you his child is rationing breath, you don't forget it. I paused, because judges are human. We feel things, but fairness must be sharpened by feeling, never replaced by it. I offered Damien one clear chance, pay today, or explain why you shouldn't be held in contempt. He laughed under his breath. You can't squeeze money from someone just because you feel bad. I leaned forward. I don't squeeze, I enforce. Then Lisa entered quietly from the back, pale, eyes red from crying. An inhaler clutched in her hand like permission to keep breathing. Her voice trembled. Judge, I did the work. I loved those kids, and he made me feel like trash for asking to be paid. Then she said the line that froze the room. He told me my dad was a nobody, and nobody believes nobodies. Damien scoffed. This is theater. I felt the disappointment settle deep in my chest. No, Mr. Kessler, I said calmly, theater is what people do online. This is a courtroom. Lisa handed over her phone. The messages appeared on the screen, clear, time-stamped, undeniable. You want to play victim? I'll show you victim. I'll post your dad's address and let people decide. The room tightened like a held breath. Lisa began to cry silently, the kind of crying that comes after someone has been strong for too long. I asked him one last time, did you send these? He still denied it. Then the screen shifted to his social media, flashy posts, perfect smiles, public confidence, and in the middle of it, a video, Damien looking straight into the camera with the calm expression of a man who believed he was untouchable. He never said Lisa's full name, but he described her just enough that anyone who knew her would know. He mocked her for begging, called it a scam, labeled the whole thing nanny drama like it was entertainment. The post had thousands of views, and the comments were cruel, the way strangers become cruel when someone with a platform points them at an ordinary person. What shocked me most wasn't just the post, it was the power imbalance, used like a sport. Then I noticed something else on that same page. An older post from weeks before, Damien at a charity gala, perfect smile, holding an oversized check, talking about supporting veterans. The contrast hit me like a slap, because in my courtroom, a real veteran sat in worn shoes, worried about rent, and suddenly the word virtue felt less like truth, and more like costume. I looked at Damien and said quietly, you used your platform to humiliate a worker who asked to be paid. He leaned forward, eyes cold. You're just a small city judge, he said. This is why people laugh at courts like yours. The room went still. My fingers pressed into the wood, not just anger, concern, because a man who talks like that has forgotten what the law is for. The law isn't for judges. It's for people like Harold and Lisa. Then the moment turned darker. As the officer scrolled, I saw a comment from an account that looked official. We can handle this. Call me. The last name matched the one Damien had mentioned earlier. Rivera. My father is Police Chief Rivera. I didn't jump to conclusions, but my instincts sharpened. The profile showed a uniform. A law enforcement bio. And suddenly this wasn't just unpaid wages. It smelled like intimidation, influence, pressure from authority. People think courtrooms are loud because of arguments. They're wrong. The loudest moments are the silent ones when you realize the case is bigger than you thought. I checked the timestamps, October 28, November 2. Then the incident report at 10:47 p.m. The timeline locked together like teeth, and I felt that cold certainty. Something was hiding behind confidence. I asked him, "Are you telling me you have no control over that account?" "It's my brand account," he said. "My assistant posts." "Then your assistant posts threats. That's free speech." I met his eyes. Free speech does not mean free intimidation. Lisa stepped back, like she wanted to disappear. Harold lifted a hand toward her, not touching, just there. A guardrail made of love. The officer confirmed the report mentioned online harassment. Lisa whispered that strangers had called her, found her workplace, told her to go back where she came from. She wasn't even an immigrant. Cruelty doesn't care about truth, only about targets. I leaned back and thought carefully. Contempt. Enforcement of protection. Then I said, "Mr. Kessler, you are not on trial for being rich. You are on trial for being wrong." He rolled his eyes. I continued, "Steady, you had an order. You ignored it. You had a worker. You didn't pay her. You had a platform. You used it to shame her. I didn't name her. You didn't have to. You aimed a crowd at her. That's enough. You're trying to make an example out of me." I held his gaze. "No, you made an example out of her. I'm correcting it. That's what I called for wage enforcement and an internal affairs supervisor, not an accusation. A protection of the process." His confidence flickered. "You can't do that." I answered softly, "Watch me." Silence fell again, the strongest sound a courtroom can make. Then came the enforcement. No proof she hadn't worked. No proof she'd been paid, only attitude, and attitude doesn't pay bills. So I ordered maximum lawful wage garnishment until every dollar, plus fees, was paid. Panic finally broke through his arrogance, because entitlement always looks strongest, right before consequence arrives. Lisa cried quietly. I told her, "You did not deserve this humiliation." I told Harold, "You should not have to stand in court at 69 to ask for wages already earned." He nodded once, slow, like a man finally allowed to breathe, because restored dignity does look like fireworks. It looks like he a tired man's shoulders dropping an inch, and that